Hi guys, welcome to Sharing with Yemi on Tuesday. Great to have you all with us again today. How are you all keeping? I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was able to join us yesterday. It was a fantastic edition yesterday, and we've had really good feedback from that. So thank you all, everyone who was a part of the show yesterday. So today on the show, we're going to be having a conversation about parenting and sharing our experiences on parenting. We've had a few requests from some of you who have been following us and been asking if we could possibly share experiences. So today being our experience day, I have some great guests who are from different parts of the globe. I have somebody from Europe, somebody from America, and another person from Canada. And they're going to be sharing their experiences as parents. And we are actually all going to be sharing from those experiences on parenting. You see, the thing about parenting is we all try and we do the best we can, and then we hope for the best. Sometimes you feel like you don't have a manual that tells you how to be a great parent. But maybe we do, maybe we don't, right? So today we're going to be having that conversation around parenting and what we're doing right, what perhaps we're doing right that we don't see that it's actually right, what we're doing wrong, what we don't recognize as wrong and we shouldn't be doing any more of it, and what we can do better. Those are the kind of conversations we're going to be having today. So if you're here with us already on Sharing with Yemi today, let me know that you're here. I see you, Condi from France. You're a loyalist. Thank you for joining us today. You said present. So welcome to Sharing with Yemi today. So if you're here as well, and if you've joined in, say hello. Let me know where you're joining in from. Condi has joined us from France. Let me know where you're from. What your day's been like. We'll have that little chit chat before I bring my guests on today. It's great to see you guys linking in. I see that a number of people have started to link in with us today. Thank you for joining us today on Sharing with Yemi. We're going to have a really interesting conversation. And I suppose this perhaps cuts across loads of people in different parts of the globe. It's a conversation that we don't have often enough. And sometimes we feel a little handicapped or a little left out. And we feel like we're not doing a great enough job as a parent, or that maybe we're doing a little too much or we're being a bit overbearing. Sometimes we have that feeling. But the truth is, we all learn as we go. And the best part of being a parent is that we can learn from our mistakes and we can correct them as we go along the way. We can recognize that sometimes it may not all be great, but if the focus is to ensure that our children turn out right and that they do us proud and they do themselves proud and do the community proud, well, we would have done something right as well. And maybe it's about values. So I want to start to say welcome, guys. Diana Stan from Dublin, welcome. Debola, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you guys for being here. It's great to see you all present with us today. So let's kick off the show. It's Sharing with Yemi today. Let's kick off the show. So my first guest today is joining us from America, is joining us from the States. His name is Miftau Adeite, joining us all the way from America. Mr. Adeite, you're welcome to Sharing with Yemi.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing?
Good afternoon. Well, I suppose you're in the States, so you're going to be saying good afternoon. Yep. Here in Ireland, it's evening, right? Tell us what it's like there with you today. Tell us what
well, the streets are dry.
Wow.
Most people are in their houses. But, being an essential worker, I have to come to work and we have to keep the system running. It's a sunny day, nice day. It would have been a good day to have a barbecue, cook out, something like that. But it is what it is. No thanks to coronavirus.
Oh, wow. Do you know what? You can still have a cookout in your back garden.
That's right.
In your back garden. People asked me, what did you do for the Easter? And I said, well, we had a party. And they're like, what? I said, yes, in my house. myself and my husband and my kids, we had a party. Do you know what? As I bring you on, I'm going to bring my other guest on, and I'm going to ask a favor of everybody because today is a special day in my house. April is actually a special month in my house. So starting today. So let me bring my second guest on. My second guest is joining us from Dublin. She's a mom. Well, you all get to meet her. Please welcome Princess Olubukola Kilani. Princess, you're welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Tell us what you're in Ireland, you're in Dublin. What's the weather like in Dublin?
It's bright and sunny and, very...
It's not one of the days where you want to stay indoors, that you want to be outside.
Not at all. Not at all. You should be outside, maybe at the beach or something.
But you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You can't do that. So here's perhaps what you could do. You could actually just bring a chair out in front of your back garden or in front of your house and have a big bowl of water and pretend you're on the beach.
Exactly.
And just soak up the sun.
We need the vitamin D.
I know it will pass. It will pass. So I have my third guest joining us all the way from Canada. I believe I'm right. Please welcome to the show, Tolulope Adegbite. Hi, Tolulope. It's great to have you with us today.
It's afternoon. Good afternoon.
It's afternoon. It's afternoon with you in Canada.
It is, yes. It's just past 2 p.m.
Past 2 p.m. Oh, wow. It's past 7 here in Ireland.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are 5 hours behind you.
You are. Yes, you are. So I said I was going to ask you all for a favor, and I might ask everybody who is joining us on the show today, right? Today, it's my son's birthday.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday to him.
Today. Oh, that's it. So if you all just join me to sing happy birthday, his name is feisty. At home, we call him Jimmy, right? So if you join me to sing happy birthday, this will be a special one. He'll be so excited. This will be a special one.
Okay.
Sing happy birthday for him together.
okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
birthday to you.
Happy
birthday to you, Jimmy.
Happy birthday to you. Hip hip.
Hooray.
You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. He's gonna be so excited. He's watching upstairs now, so he's gonna be so he'll be so I mean, he's the kind of kid that he gets excited about everything. They're singing for me on sharing with Yemi. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show today. We have a number of people who've joined us. Great to see you all joining us today. Antonia Debisi Adebowale, thanks for joining us. So thank you for the beautiful birthday wish for Faith Stage. I really appreciate it. Keith Wikes, thank you so much. Thank you for the birthday wish. Okpe, thank you for the birthday wish. Ochezie, thank you for the birthday wish. It's great to have you all joining us. Everyone who's plugged in today. So today we're going to be conversing. You guys are going to be sharing with me on parenting. Now, this is one thing that perhaps we all always have to go back to school on. I always say that as a parent, you should be ready any given time to do a parent 101 course, anytime. Because you could think you have it all right, and then for some reason, something just goes completely the opposite direction that you never expected. It's like a life lesson, really and truly. So we all learn from ourselves about parenting. Sometimes some people actually deliberately take a parenting course to try and see how to do it better. So what I would like us to start with, first of all, is for you guys to share with me how many kids you have, what it's been like as a parent for you. For myself, I have 4 kids. I'm a grandma now. So
Ooh.
thank you. My grandson is 3 in October. So it feels like starting all over again, because before COVID, when they come over to visit, my whole house has been rearranged just to accommodate him when he comes over. And sometimes I question myself as a parent, that did I do a good enough job with his mom? His mom is my first daughter, and she's gonna be 27. And I always question myself, did I do a good enough job? My other kids, I mean, they're all growing. There's a 19-year-old going to be 20. Jimmy is 12 today. And my last kid, who was my oops baby, Keifa. In Ireland, we call it the oops baby, when you don't expect the baby to come. Keifa is 10 and he'll be 11 soon. So there's a huge gap between them. They all have almost like 8 years between them each, except Keifa and Prince. But it's not been the easiest of thing being a parent. Along the way, the experience from one child to the other has been completely different. It's been different. I don't know if it's been the same for any of you. Mr. Adeite, we'll start with yourself. What has been your parenting experience? And tell us, how many kids you have and what's been it like for you?
I have 4. I have 3 boys and 1 little princess. My oldest is 22. The second one is 20. Then when there's a little gap between that one and the other one, there is going to be 15 this year, and the little princess just turned 7. It's been an amazing experience. What I can say is that the experience with one child is different from the experience when the second child joins, and then when they become 3, it's totally different. Now they're 4, is totally different. But like you said, one will still continue to ask himself, did I do a good job? Did I do a good job? Then where do you get your feedback from to know if you did a good job? Well, you get your feedback from what the people in your neighborhood will say about your kids.
You get your feedback from what the people in your neighborhood say about your kids.
Yes.
So is that kind of like a reflection on you?
Yes.
Of how you raise your kids?
Yes.
Do you think that should be a reflection?
Yes. I'll give you an example.
Please do.
We moved here from England. We were in England for some years before we came here.
Okay.
So I realized that everybody in my children's school, they call them the white black kids.
The white black kids?
Yes, because they were so English. They were so respectful. They say thank you, which is not a common thing around here. They say thank you. They say please. So when they say, oh, that, white black kid, they're black, but they act like white. That's the mentality in that area. Then I said, well, I must have done a good job because it's a good thing. But then at times, I realized there are certain things I should have done differently. Maybe in the earlier part of fatherhood, maybe as we go on in the program, we'll talk about it.
Yes, I'm going to pause you there on what you think you could have done differently, because that's a conversation we're going to have together, right? But I love the fact that you'd mentioned there that maybe one of the things we could consider is how the job we've done reflects on us, could be how people perceive our children outside. I don't know if the ladies would agree with this. I'll come to you, Princess. Do you agree with this, that the reflection of the work we've done could be from how the outer world perceives our children?
Can I come in now?
Yes, you may, please.
Oh yes, without a doubt, I believe that because if they see your children outside,
yes,
the way they behave, the way they interact with other children, and the way they even speak, it shows the background and how they were raised. For example, I'm a parent. Like I have 2 children, a girl and a boy. My daughter is 20. My son is 17. Anytime I go out and they come in, they say, "Oh, we saw your daughter. She curtsied when she's saying good afternoon to us. Oh, she's well raised." I say, "Oh, I thank God. That's very good." And when each time I go home, I said, look, my daughter, it's a culture to be polite to elders. Don't say because you're here, you can just, behave to people, your elders anyhow. And she abide with that, and she's good. And every time people just say, "Oh, it's not again." She curtsy when she's saying hello or good afternoon, and I'm very happy, about that. But my son, I'm not sure if that one even says hello to people. It would just go, And I said, listen, if you see anybody, just say hello, hi. It doesn't cost you anything, So between a girl and a boy, I think it's different in a way. Girls are calmer. They're easy to approach, if I may say that. So, Mr. Adeite is very right by saying the people's feedback about children is how they are raised. I agree with that.
Okay, so people's feedback. So that's that agreement there, that feedback from the community. And I think Debola, who is watching here, has made a comment here about feedback from the community. I'll just quickly take Debola's comment there. Debola says, you get your feedback on your parenting, on what your community says about your kids. Wow, that is so cool. Like, I did not see that as a big deal, but it can be a great assessment. Kids can be one way at home, but when out there, how do they regard other people? Wow, this is one assessment to look at. So there you go. People kind of agree with that maybe we perceive our children, we as parents might perceive our children one way at home. They might be great at home and act all great. But out there, people might see them differently. So yes, so maybe the outside feedback is a great way to tell if we're parenting correctly. I'll come to you there, Tolulope. First, tell us about your kids. How many kids do you have? Yes. And then what parenting is like for you?
Well, my children are much younger. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. So I don't have a teenager. I'm not there yet. But
you're getting there close enough, almost there.
9 and 7, yeah. So, well, personally, I think parenting is not, yes, what people say is probably a reflection of your parenting. But at the same time, I also feel like because of the difference in cultures, sometimes it's not 100% correct. I'll give an example. And I think she mentioned that Princess said her 2 children are different. Children are very different. You can be raising 2 children in the same home with the same values, but their temperaments will still come into play. So my daughter might be social and say hello to everyone. My son might be reserved, not because he's rude, but because he's reserved and he's not socially comfortable with greeting everyone. He might not say hello, and that doesn't mean he's a rude kid. It just means that his temperament is coming to play. And I can't force him to become who he isn't. So long as he's not speaking rudely to people and he's not being outrightly disrespectful, I don't think that's because he's not greeting someone, then maybe it's a bad reflection on my own parenting. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, makes perfect sense. I mean, what you've just said then now brings to mind personalities, right? You talked about your child's temperance or any child's temperance. So perhaps that's their personality. So kids, individuals, we have different personality types, right? So some are out there, they're extroverts, some are introverts, and perhaps sometimes the challenges that we have in connecting with ourselves as individuals, as human beings, is that we don't recognize those differences. We don't see the differences. Reflect on how we parent as well.
And if I may add, I think that society tends to judge introverts harshly.
Yes, I agree.
Or children who are not very outgoing, people tend to judge them harshly. So you don't even get to know the child and you say, oh, that child didn't greet, that child is rude. They just might not be comfortable. And it might be something that maybe a parent is working with them on. You don't even know, but then you pass a judgment and then you say, oh, that parent is doing a terrible job on their child.
I think as well, just to add to what you said, Tolulope, I think as well that society does judge extroverted kids harshly as well. Sometimes they say that child is too bold. You know,
True.
can't you control your child at home? How can your child just come and speak anyhow? You know, we tend to put a general blanket on kids sometimes
on
and
kids.
make that a reflection of the parents at home, right? So let me take us all, let me take us all there to personality. I really want us to address this issue of personality. So as parents, how have you been able to, or have you identify the different personalities of your kids? Is this something you thought about at any point as you parented? You know, that, okay, this child is different from this child, so I have to pay attention to this child's way, the way he reacts, the way he thinks, the way he deals with stuff, and then ensure that I help him become, or her, become the best he or she can be based on his personality or her. Do you think of that as parents? I'll start with Miftau there.
People's personalities are different. But let me just say something about what Tolulope said. The community feedback I was talking about goes beyond somebody saying hello or not hello. If you see an introvert child, before you make up your mind, it's not going to be immediate because they didn't say hello. I have my kids have friends that come to my house. They normally won't even say hello. They just go, is Farid in? Is so in? They just go in. Then I will have to call them back. Look, we're Africans. When you come in this house, you will say hello to everybody you see here, okay? The next time they come, they will say hello. You know, I have left that child when that child comes to my house, they know they have to say hello. If my child goes outside and he doesn't say hello, I don't expect the community to judge him that instant. Or some children, they don't even know you. They will start asking you questions, you know, extrovert, like you said. So that's not what I mean. For that feedback to be meaningful, it will take some time. They must have watched this kid over and over. A child that says hello and start throwing stones at other people's car, what would they say about him? The judgment, you know, the feedback will go beyond the hello. You say, oh, hello, sir, and you're throwing stones at somebody's windscreen. Of course. So back to what you asked about the personalities.
Yes.
Children personality varies, just like every other, you know, class of people. I have 4 of them, and the all 4 of them have different personalities. There is one particular one that is exactly like me in terms of going out, you know, outgoing person. This is the only one that he has had more sleepovers than the rest of them put together. I don't know what his friends think of him, but I have his friends' parents calling me, oh, we'll come and pick him for the party and we'll bring him back, please. He's the life of the party. Exactly. What Yoruba would call Omojadi Gadi. He's the typical Omojadi Gadi. But his brothers, the older ones, they won't even go anywhere. See, like this, I was joking with them yesterday with this coronavirus lockdown. There's no much change in our lifestyle. Because they don't go, apart from that one that likes going to parties anyway. But the other ones, they come from school. Even the one that is in college, he chose not to stay on campus. He would rather stay at home. There was a semester I said, you must stay in school. He was coming home around 12 at lunchtime to come and eat eba in the house and go back to, you know, that is the different personalities you see among these children. There is one, when I'm correcting him, he wants to prove his point. No, I didn't do this. Okay, I did this because of this. But my little girl, if I say, why did you do that? You start crying. She doesn't want to be seen doing the wrong thing.
Doing wrong, yes. So she's very emotional.
So she doesn't want to be correct. You see that kind of personality. So as they grow, you understand their personalities, and then the way you handle Miss A will be different from the way you handle Miss B.
So let me come back now again to that question. Have you, as you became a parent the very first time, and then the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time, have you recognized that it is important to see the differences in the kids and then raise them in that way? Did you see this at the beginning, or did you learn this later on in life?
I saw this when the second child came.
Okay.
With the first child, I wanted to be that perfect parent. I wanted to be that perfect parent. This boy must be the most brilliant boy in school. He must be well behaved. He must eat well. He must do this. He must do that. Then I was always shouting on the poor boy.
You were. This is what sometimes people will say is you projecting perfection onto him.
Yes. Let's just put it the way it is. You try the child to be everything you have wanted yourself to be.
Exactly. Everything you wanted but couldn't have.
So I realized that's not him. And when the second one came, he was doing things differently. When he wants to eat his food, he takes his time. He can spend 1 hour on a bowl of cereal. It's totally different from the older brother. Then I started feeling bad. Why was I shouting on this one? When this one is actually doing what? Slower, It's just different. So I started learning at that point that no two people can be similar. And then you have to deal with people based on, their own personalities and traits. Yeah.
Very good. Let me come to you, Buki. Let me come to you now. Do you think that you mentioned earlier on there about when you were talking about your kids, about the way the environment they're growing in and all of that bit. Do you think that environment has an influence on how we raise our kids? Sometimes we talk about you're raising your kids in Europe, or you're raising your kids in America or in Canada. I mean, the different places that the three of you are in. And some people raise their parents, their children in Africa as well. Do you think that environment plays a role in how we parent? Does it play a major role?
No, I don't think we have to put environment. I raise my children the way I was raised. I raised my kids the way my parents, raised me. We have set routines.
Okay, Buki, where your audio seems to have gone low. What I would advise is exit and come back in again, and we'll probably have you back in. Is that okay?
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I will do that now.
Just stay right
Sorry
there.
about that.
I can hear you now. Stay right there.
It's clear now.
It's clear now. Go ahead. Please keep talking.
Is it clear now?
It's clear.
Yes.
You have to exit.
I'm clear. You can hear me now.
Clearly.
But I can hear faintly. Anyway, let me just say this quickly, then I go back and come in again.
Okay.
So I don't put environment when I was raising my kids. I had my daughter in London and I had my son here. I speak Yoruba to my children since they were born.
Oh.
Since they were born, I never speak English to them.
Are you joking?
So there was a time one of my friends, I was speaking Yoruba to my daughter, and one of my friends said, "Your daughter can speak Yoruba?" I said, "Yes. Why wouldn't I speak Yoruba to her?" So she gets so embarrassed. She said, "Mommy, I won't be speaking Yoruba to you when your friends are here. They embarrass me when I speak Yoruba." So I do not speak English up till today. I don't speak English to them.
Why is that? Can I ask why that is? Why?
Because I don't want them to lose their culture totally. Because I know they will definitely speak and understand English. When they go to school, they will learn English. In the shop, they'll speak English. My son doesn't want to really speak Yoruba, but I speak from the day he was born. Wow. I speak Yoruba to him. Wow. So anytime he calls, they're speaking to my people back home, they'll be shocked. They will say, "What? Are you speaking Yoruba? Have they been and they haven't been to Nigeria before?"
Wow.
They say, "How did you do that?" I said, "Well, that is what I want from them. I don't want them to go to Nigeria and not be able to communicate with their people. They should be able to balance everything."
Okay.
So I don't let the environment affect the way I raise my kids. Okay, so of course, then here.
Buki, you're from Nigeria, right? Let's look at this openly. I'm going to come to you, Tolulope.
Okay.
The role that you think culture.
Please let me quickly go in and out because I can barely hear you.
Okay, you quickly, do that now. Do that.
Thank you.
What role do you think culture plays? Buki mentioned there. She talked about culture, that she
Yeah.
loves to speak the language. And this is a universal thing because you have
Yeah.
people living in different parts of the world. There are a lot of Irish
True.
people who live in America. And sometimes, you know, those who live here in Ireland, that were in Ireland, when they connect with the families that are back in America, they still want to, they wish they could hear that Irish twang. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
they live in America, it's not there.
It's
So
hard. Yeah.
sometimes, yes, it's the same across the globe. Sometimes when you have
True.
kids travel home on holiday, the accent is obviously different. When they visit their original country of origin, the
Mm-hmm.
accent.
The country.
So sometimes some parents worry about that. They want the children to have a feel of their original culture. Do you think that culture is an integral part of raising a child?
I
From your
don't think
experience.
that I don't think that you can totally take culture out of how you raise children, because everywhere you are there's a culture.
Mm,
One thing you have to be careful about, that I feel like you have to be careful about when you live in a culture that is different from yours, though, is that you don't also want to alienate your children.
mm,
You don't want a situation where they are not able to fit in because you are trying to raise them the way you were raised, if that makes sense. I'll give an example. Sometimes I supervise lunch in my children's school, and I just go in to volunteer, not working.
yeah.
And then everybody is eating, and then I see this child who is sitting alone in a corner, eating with her hands in school because that's what her culture demands, and that's how she's been raised.
Mm,
They don't use cutlery at home.
mm.
She's in grade school and she's eating with her hands while her mates are eating with cutlery. I don't think that's I don't think that's
Good enough.
I think that's a way of alienating the child.
Mm.
There are some very good aspects of culture, and there are some. So, for instance, when I was young, if my parents said anything to me, I couldn't really respond or answer or have my own thoughts or ideas. That's very different from now. Your children have they're humans. They have their own brains. You're raising them to be able to think for themselves. So you can't say, oh, how I was raised is when I talk to you, you don't respond. No, you can't do that. Otherwise, you're going to be raising children who have an entirely different, who are entirely different out of your home than they are with you. So they're not free and they can't be themselves with you. And then they're creating a conflict between them and the world they live in. So at home, there's these different children who are docile and everything. And then when they're out there, they're different children entirely. And then some people will say, oh, but that's not how I raised you. Oh, that's how you raised them. You just didn't allow them to express themselves. I don't know if that makes sense. So yes,
It makes perfect sense. Please go
as
on.
much as your culture plays an impact in how you, so like Princess said, yes, she's raising her children to speak Yoruba. I speak Yoruba to my children too. They're young. I think I have a lot of friends whose children don't even know what good morning is in Yoruba. I've always spoken Yoruba to my children. But at the same time, I can't expect them to be speaking English with the accent that people use in Nigeria. That would be foolhardy of me. Like, how would I expect that? So as much as I'm trying to imbibe aspects of the culture that I was raised with, and that, so when I tell them, when you see an adult, you don't call an adult by name, no matter where they're from. You can say Mr. something or Mrs. something or Miss something, or don't call them by name because they're adults and we should respect them. Yes. And I see some of my Canadian friends who do that, and they tell their children, call my friend Miss something, which is good in my own opinion. So that's an aspect of culture. But then I'm not going to tell my children, kneel down and greet everybody that you see. I'm going to create a conflict for them when I do that. So we have to be able to balance it, know the aspects of your own culture that are good, and that you don't want your children to miss out on, like language, like respect, but also know that you're raising children in a very different world entirely, in a different part of the world. They need to be able to express themselves. They need to be who they are. That's my thinking.
Thank you so much. You've made really valid points there. Culture plays an integral role, yet we shouldn't allow our kids to be isolated within the environment they live in. I mean, people live even when you look at it, the country that we live in, the countries we live in, for those who say like Africa, you could go from one part. I'll come to where you both are from, Nigeria. You could go from one part of Nigeria and move to another, from the east to the north, and they're completely different. The culture is completely different, you know. Definitely. And if you're from the east and you're living in the north, you want to connect your children to the east, but yet you want them to understand the environment within which they live, so that they're not isolated. Very great point there, Tolulope. If you're just joining us, this is Sharing with Yemi. And today I have three wonderful guests sharing with us on the show. They're sharing their experiences. Today is our Experience Tuesday, and they're sharing their experiences as parents. And we're having this conversation around parenting. Some of the things we never really think about when we struggle with parenting. And sometimes we feel we're not doing a great enough job. Well, maybe it's not really about doing a great job. Maybe it's really about recognizing that we're doing our best and we can learn along the journey. So Adekunle is joining us from the States, from America. Heidi, brother, it's great to have you from Maryland. Tolulope is joining us from Canada, and Bukola is joining us from here in Ireland, in Dublin. And there are a number of comments that have come in. I'll just take one or two of them. John Ken Idomele says, the last speaker just nailed the main point. Tolulope, that's you, I believe. I don't think people's opinions should be sacrosanct in validating our parenting style. Yes, while it might count, it's not sacrosanct. Rabban is here joining us from Uganda. Rabban says, hello, everyone. Have I missed a lot? Well, I was in the hospital. Oh, Rabban, well, you can play back later. So don't worry, you've missed a bit, but not too much. You can play back later and listen. Condi says, my daughter, Condi's joining us from France. She says, my daughter never greets when she's alone. But when we are together, Sue greets everyone who we come across. I find that safe and intelligent in this present world that we are living in, my opinion. Well, there you go. There you go. Pat says, I so agree. Introverts can be judged, especially by their peers who may be more outgoing. All children are unique, with their own personality to be honored. Quieter children may be the thinkers of the future. There we go. You know, and our world is actually changing as well. Given COVID-19, here we are on social media. A show that normally would have been in television, here we are, we have it on social media. So everything's changing slowly but surely. Let's see now. Vicky Owoduni. Hi, Auntie Vicky. It's great to have you with us today. Vicky's linking in from the States. Says, can you blame the boy? Oh, I think comment on one of the comments to say.
I think the boy is our favorite. So that's why
okay.
You got to go.
Oh, we've got your kids. Tolulope, let's meet them. Hi, guys. Say hello to us. Come on, wave, guys. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Mommy, we are making cold water.
Okay, go make them. Go make them.
I love this. Oh, that's so awesome.
We've been talking theory. Now we see the practical.
You know what this
They're
reminds
making carrot water. I don't know what that is.
They're making carrot water. Well, I tell you something.
Carrot water. I don't know what that is.
Brighter. Carrots. 2020. Very good. Very good. Oh, just a blessing. They are such blessings to us. Yeah. So culture, we've said, I mean, we've touched on culture there, that yes, it's important to always be proud of. I personally, I am proud of my culture. It's my heritage, right? Yes, being in Ireland, I come originally from Africa, from Nigeria, and I'm proud of my culture. I'm proud of the way I was raised. And yet, as a grown person living in Ireland now, I understand and appreciate that I am in a different culture. And there's something to be learned. There are so many things I could learn from this culture. I realized that when I came in, and there are things I've taken on board as well. And I have taught these to my children. The one thing I recognize is everywhere you go, what you see is dependent on what you want to see. There's always a good and a bad. In everything, there's always a good and a bad. So the first thing I always ask myself is, what's my focus? What am I looking for? Am I looking for the good or am I looking for the bad? And I always try to find the good, which I feel is beneficial to me. And I take that and I use that, you know. And I like you guys have said, I love for my children to be proud of their heritage, because it's nothing to be ashamed of. Look, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly everywhere, you know. So I'm proud of the good things there. And yet I help them understand that you're growing up in a culture that is your culture as well. You know, it's new to me, but it's not new to my children, because this is where they're growing up. And this is all they know. This is what they understand. This is the culture they know. So culture plays a great role. And yet we shouldn't force a certain culture onto our children. I want us to quickly just have a quick chat about what you guys had mentioned earlier on. That phrase, "This is how I was raised." A lot of people say that. They say when things say, well, that's all I know. This is how I was raised. And this is the question I always ask. I always ask, so who raised you that way? And they would say, my parents. And I ask them, did your parents teach you how to kiss?
That's natural instinct.
So that's natural instinct. So if your parents did not teach you how to kiss,
see how they look you.
yet somehow you learned how to kiss, could you use the same natural instincts, like Buki says, learn how to adjust when there's the need to adjust and take other things on board? So let me come to you, Miftau. Have you at times as parents said, oh, this is how I was raised, so I'm going to stick to doing it this way? Have you done that, or have you allowed yourself to be flexible?
I have never done that. I will never do that, because the way I'm raising my kids is not the way I was raised, by the way. I was raised by my mother alone. My father wasn't dead. He wasn't poor. It just wasn't there. Due to whatever might have happened, I'm not blaming him.
Yeah.
It was his circumstance. He had 7 wives. So if I want to raise my kids the way I was raised, I will have 7 wives. I wouldn't live with none of them. You know? I wouldn't live with none of them. And I will only have 20 naira in my wallet each time my kids come to ask for money. And I will show them the same 20 naira, and I will be giving out loans. So I will be a money lender. So that is how I was raised.
Wow.
So I cannot use that statement, and I'm never going to use that statement because it does not apply to me. I think I am doing a better job than my parents. And when I say my parent, I've never been my own mother, so I can never be a mother, but I'm doing a better job than my father. And I let my kids know, look, I am better than my father. You just have to be better than me.
That is so true.
I am better than my father. So they have, and honestly, they are better than me. Because there are certain things I did that I'm not proud of when I was their age, that they wouldn't even think of doing. They are as straight as a pole. Because I don't restrict them. I give them freedom. And they think we are friends. But I remind them we are not friends. I'm still their parent.
I'm the dad here.
Yeah, your friend don't pay your school fees, right? So I'm not your friend. So that is. Oh, please let somebody go on. Let me just pick this quickly.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So, Buki, tell us now. For yourself, do you think that it's important to consider culture and the environment?
Well, yes, it's important, because, like my own parents, I came from a monogamous of that.
Monogamy, yeah.
Monogamous.
So it's not polygamy.
No.
Okay.
So my father was there, my mom was there. So it's only the rules that most of the time my dad gives the rules, and you have no choice but to follow it. Though he's a liberal man, it gives you a chance, you go out, but you have to come back home at a certain time. If you don't come at a certain time, it will not allow you out another time. The same thing I'm using for my children. I cannot force anything on them. And I like reading a lot. I tell them to read a lot, to learn more, to broaden their knowledge and all that. So I raise them with the values here, and even both. So, but I balance both. Like I was telling my son, I said, listen, you can't. My neighbor just moved, so I said, you can't just call him by his first name, say Mr. something. These people, they know if a child is polite. It doesn't matter if because some people say, oh, this is how they behave here. Leave them. No, you can't leave them. You have to balance everything. There was a time a woman was saying, they told the woman that, listen, we saw your son somewhere. No. That's how they behave in Ireland. This is not Nigeria. They are free. They are free, but there must be, limitations into what these children are allowed to do outside. You can't say because they are in Europe. Because they're in Europe doesn't mean they should be rude.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they should just go out and not come back on time. That doesn't mean they should not have routine to follow. So some of these things, so just to make quickly, some of these things they tell the children, oh, that this is Europe. You can, it's free. It makes these children sometimes lose focus. To me. So you can go on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. So I'll take a few quick comments and then we'll come back. I want us to address the issue that you'd mentioned there, the issue of value. Right. Before that, I'll take a few comments. If you're just joining us, this is Sharing with Yemi. And today my guests are sharing on parenting and their parenting experiences. And yes, your comments and questions are welcome. So please keep them coming. Vicky says, environment definitely plays a role in the way we raise our kids, the environment we're in. So you'll have all the influence from the different environments. Thank you, Vicky, for that comment. John says carrots and sticks are not permitted here in America, but allowed in Nigeria. Great difference. I know the feeling. Thank you all for your comments. There are a few that have come in here. Condi says, I so totally agree with Princess. I live in France and my daughter understands and speaks English. I don't speak any Nigerian language. Shame on me. Okay. But I'm glad that she can communicate with the family in English. Olukemi says, thank you for the comments. Thank you all so much. Please keep the comments coming. Vicky from Ireland says, I am here to learn. Oh, very good. Very good. So please keep your comments coming. Very good. Now, I want us to talk about values. I mean, as one person, I believe totally in setting values for your family, for any family. And I believe that values guide us and they help us understand how we should do things. They set us on the straight and narrow. So, Miftau, I'll come to you. Do you have for yourself, do you have family values? And if you do, when did you think it was important to set it? And when did you set it?
At different points, things keep evolving. With my older child, I wanted to be the perfect example. What you see is what you know. See me doing things, I will not tell a lie around them. I don't say I don't tell lies, but I will not tell a lie around them. When the second one came, I made them realize education, there's no alternative to education. You will go to school. I don't like school, doesn't exist in my family. Those are the values. But when this little girl came, she's a game changer. Because some of the things I would have loved to do with the older ones, that I didn't do, then I'm able to do it with this one. I was taking her to the daycare, taking her to the first day in school and things like that. And then we have this ritual. And that was my opportunity to instill the values that myself and my wife have decided on for the family. Just 3 things. And I always say to her, like, reinforcement so she can memorize it. You ask her today, what are the 3 most important things in life? She will tell you family, going to work, and doing right even when nobody is watching. Those are my family values. Whatever you do, it really don't matter. But those 3 things, you just have to, do the right thing even when nobody's watching you. And, if you have that at the back of your mind, you won't do wrong. You won't go steal somebody's property. You won't lie. You won't do all those kind of things. So I try to practicalize these values, not just tell them. We are Muslims. They know they have to follow the Islamic code and things like that, but not forcefully. I don't feel like going to the mosque today. Okay, take a break. You go tomorrow. That nothing is cast in stone. Like I always say, the golden rule is that there's no golden rule. Yes. As long as you have a foundation, you're okay. You will develop your religious whatever. I wasn't like this. I wasn't a strong Muslim when I was growing, So let them enjoy their youth. So family values, I think the parents are the best examples. Whatever, don't teach them, show them.
Absolutely.
Show them, do it. Let them see you doing it. Don't lie.
You just nailed it there. Just to show, not just to say it, but to do it.
Yes.
And you know what? I am so happy that you have values set for your family, because really and truly, and your 3 key values are so powerful. And it's great that your children know it. I think that one of the things that that is a challenge for us as parents is that we don't consider setting values. And so our children don't know what guides us, as a family. When we could have been brothers and sister. We could have been brother and sister, because I come from a polygamous home myself. My father had 7 wives.
Oh.
We're on
the same level.
27 children my father had. And I'm number 16 in the household, And my mother has only girls. But my mother felt that it was important that she set values for us as her girls. So we understood that going out in the world the world may not be favorable to us as girls. But once we know what the values are, we have to be guided by those. And that taught me to set value for my family, and my children know it. And I mean, in my household, we've got 5 values and my kids know it. You'd ask them, they would recite it in their sleep like that. Tolulope, I'm going to come to you.
Okay.
What are your values? Do you have values? What are your family values? And when did you think to set them?
Yes, we do have values in our home. And I think it's something the children are growing up with, like even from when they were toddlers. So there are things that we consider important. We're Christians, and we consider worship time important, and they know that. So every night, we will pray, we will read the Bible, and we will take some confessions. And now, when I forget at night, my son says, "We didn't do our confessions today," because it's how they're being raised.
Yes.
They know that we value honesty.
Very good.
And we always say to them, no matter how hard it is, if it's going to kill you, you have to tell us the truth.
Yeah.
You have to tell the truth. And my daughter knows. My daughter always says, sometimes she tries to fib, but then she's smiling, and I tell her, you have the face that tells me that you're fibbing, and that's not the truth. And she's like, Mom, how do you know? I said, because you can't even tell a lie with a straight face, so I know all the time. So they know that we value worship time, we value honesty, we value hard work. And we always say to them, what do your mommy and your daddy do? And they always tell us, Mom runs a business, Dad works in investments. And they know. And every time they ask questions about it, they see us working, and we always tell them, you can see that we are working hard. So you know that you also have to work hard. And I'll give a recent example. I'm just concluding a diploma in early childhood education. And one day I'm schooling full time, raising kids and all of that, running a business. So one day I was like, oh, this is just so hard. I was just talking to my daughter. I said, why don't you drop out? So so I took that as a teaching moment. And then I sat her down and I said, look, no matter how hard it is, we don't quit. We keep going. Because it's also something that I've seen in the society. In this society, you're taught that if it's too hard, you can just leave it.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, look, you don't quit because it's hard. You keep going until you get your desired result. The only reason you will quit on something, is if it's not leading to the desired end. But if it is what you set out to do, you have to stay with it, no matter how hard it is. You have to learn the grit, do the hard work. That's the only way you get a result and a reward at the end of it. And this is something that we keep teaching them, knowing that you put in your best, you do your best, and then you get the reward. Wow. So there are a few other things that we teach, but I think those three are like the main things that are most important to us.
Very good. I love the point you made there, and even emphasizing the result. It's not just getting results, but the desired result. And I think that's really key. That's something that I believe a lot of people will take away today. You don't quit if you know you're going to get the desired result. And the only reason perhaps you step away is when you know that what you're doing, your action is not leading you to your desired result. That's really powerful. Thank you for sharing your values there. Princess, I'm going to come to you to share your values with us quickly. We're coming close to wrapping up. What are your values, your family values? And when did you set them?
Like my dad used to tell me that the only thing nobody can take away from you is your education. Once you are enlightened and know your left from your right, it will be difficult for you to be cheated. So education and honesty. And one thing my dad always used to say is, look, money is not everything. If you work hard, be serious with whatever you want to do, you will surely get it. Don't be carried away with unnecessary vain things of life. Work hard, pray, and definitely you will get it. But honesty, education, and education doesn't end in the four walls of the classroom.
Yeah.
Education, in fact, the way you dress is a form of education. The way you interact with people is a form of education. So these are things that
itself is an educational institution.
Exactly. So, and you learn from others. Don't ever say what somebody's saying doesn't make it. Don't dismiss anything. There will be definitely something that will be useful for you from things we hear from people. So really,
thank you for sharing those. Yes. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And all the values, they are very powerful. And I hope that people are picking from this. I mean, not everyone would think to set values. And you can't really blame people because, like I always say, what you don't know, you don't know. And when you know it, that's when you know it. End of story, For me, our values, we have 5 straight values that our kids grow up with. It's respect, integrity. I believe that respect guides everything. When you show respect, you get it. If you don't give it, don't expect to get it. If you don't get it, then you can't quarrel with people. I believe consistency is key. That's what makes a professional. That's what makes an expert. When you talk professionalism at work, these are people who have done things over and over and over and over and over again. They can do it in their sleep like that. So I urge them all to connect whatever they're doing with consistency. Be consistent, and it's like a blacksmith who is heating a machete over and over and over again. Is because he hasn't gotten a smoothness, a certain consistency. And that's how you become a guru at what you're doing. And then we teach them about integrity. I mean, for me, that's my watchword. I always tell people what I sell is my name. What I sell is my name is very key, to everything. You have to, integrity is important, everything is attached to you. The minute you lose that, then people completely see you differently. And love for God, because we're Christians, and it's the guide for our lives. Everything is guided by it. And then love for family. Family, you know. So for us, those are, as we get close to wrapping up, there's just one question. People have been making so many comments and sending questions, but there's one that I want us to quickly take, and perhaps I would ask Mr. Adeite to quickly address this one. It's a question that's coming from Vicky in America. It says, what do you think about handing everything onto our children on a silver platter? Especially some cultures where they believe that the children should go through everything we went through, should not go through everything we went through. To what extent should we indulge our children? So if you can just perhaps address that in just 1 minute, because we're literally out of time.
Okay. My background is in corrections, okay? Before I became a social worker. We learned that it is easier to turn a no into a yes than to turn a yes
to a no.
Yes, into a no. So when kids ask for anything, your first answer should be no. Then you have time to think about it. If what they want, do they really need it? Is it justified? Is the need justified? Can you afford it? Then the no can become a yes.
Oh, wow. Now, that's a powerful one.
Yes. So, but if you said yes, you can't come back and say, oh, no, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
But if you say, no, you're not getting it. Come on, mom, talk to dad. They will think somebody is convincing somebody. But you're actually buying yourself time to think about that thing that child wants. Do they need it? Do they deserve it? We cannot hand everything over to them on a platter of gold. My second son got a car free of charge from his uncle. When he had a flat tire, he called me. You got to buy that tire yourself, son. Yes. And when he bought it, then I refunded him later in a different way. He didn't even know I was giving him back money for the tire. No, we can't give them everything. Agreed, we don't want our children to pass through what we did. But remember this Yoruba saying, "Man lo mi ton lo man je kan gbeyan koja bus stop." You know,
now I don't know how to translate that.
so if you keep saying I don't want them to pass through what I passed through, don't push them where they shouldn't go.
True.
Yeah.
You will spoil them. You will make them what is the word now? Entitled. They will feel entitled. So don't create a generation.
God bless you. Which is a terrible mentality that the entire world seems to have. Everybody feels entitled to
no delaying gratification.
Worked for. Do you know, I just feel so strongly that this conversation is one that we perhaps should have again, but in a different way, right? Yes. And we've hit so many points today, and the comments are just an attestation to the fact that people are taking a lot away from this today. I want to thank you all so much for making the time to be my guest on Sharing with Yemi today. I mean, you've shared so much. You guys have such great experience. Yeah. Like I said before, look, parenting I think it's one of the hardest jobs in the world that you don't get paid for it, but the reward. And I'll use Tolulope's phrase, the desired result can be so sweet at the end of the day if you get your desired result. So parenting is not even one that we quit on. You know, we just keep going. And I just love the smile on the face of that kid right there beside me. Thank you guys so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. See you all soon again, because we might have this conversation.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Good night.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Good night, Canada. Thank you for being a part of the show. Good night, Dublin. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been a really good night, Canada. Bye, guys.
Bye.
It's been another awesome edition of Sharing with Yemi today. And we've been talking parenting. And our guests have been sharing their experiences. It's our Experience Tuesday. And there's so much that we've taken away today. Environment, the influence it has on parenting, how we set our values, why we should set values, the kind of values that people have set for their homes and that it's helping them raise the kids, what role culture plays in raising the kids, and the fact that we don't have to hand everything to our children on a platter of gold. Whatever our cases may be in the different areas that we live in, where we're working so hard to be great parents, one thing's for sure, and this is something that I have taken from the show today. We all have a desired result. We want our children to be a great reflection of the great work that we've done as parents. So, the one thing we should not do is quit. There's no reason to quit because there's a desired goal at the end. And when we get the desired result, it will be so sweet. I suppose this is where the phrase enjoying the fruit of our labor comes into play. We'll have this conversation again, and I hope that you'll be able to join us again then. Until then, keep doing your great job as a parent. You could struggle. Look, so everyone is struggling too. You're not alone in the journey, and I hope that comforts you today. Bottom line, you can ask for help. There's help all around us. It helps us all become better people, especially better parents. God bless you. Have a great evening, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay home and stay safe.